On today's show,
Just the rivalries. I mean, you have like Heights High School, which was a really close rivalry. Then you have East, which was nearby. Just the rivalries. I remember my senior year playing Heights High School, and they were always a tough team to play. But I remember we played them at home. I went on a run in the fourth quarter. I think I hit like 4 threes in the fourth quarter, and we ended up beating them.
It is just about time to set out the milk and cookies. Merry Christmas. Welcome into Kansas Sports Chatter, a statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Cole Reif, and hopefully you and your family and friends have a great time celebrating the holiday season. And this will be our final show before the Christmas holiday, but we got a good lineup set. As you look at the guests today, Colby Krein and Ronnie Baker, a Perry-Lecompton High School, part of the boys basketball team, will answer our leadoff question. Scott Paske with Keisha Covered will run through the Keisha Coach of the Year from football this past fall, and Mark Sambo of Salina Central, and also some other really good coaches he'll run through from this past fall. Dusty Thompson, head coach of the Centralia girls basketball team, will be our quality time interview. Sean Boston with Hutchinson Radio will give us a behind-the-mic look of his setup at the NJCAA National Championship game down in Texas with the Blue Dragons last week. Chuck Chaney with Butler County Times-Gazette will talk about Butler County area athletes. And then Jaila Harding, a member of the Wichita State University women's basketball team from Butler Community College and also from Wichita Southeast High School, will be our next level talents at the end of the show. Big thanks to our sponsors today, Meyers Enterprises. For all your digital advertising, you have to contact Meyers Enterprises. Also, SPX, Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Check out the website sp-xsolutions.com. We'll have things started with our leadoff question. It is today's leadoff question with Colby Krein, a member of the Perry-Lecompton boys basketball team. Hey, Colby, your question today, who's the best player that you played against in high school so far?
I'd say probably the best player I've ever seen is from Bishop Ward, Tyler Holmes. He was really good at, drive and kick. He's a really good defender, two-way player, and his ability to drive to the basket was kind of beyond what we were ready for when we played him.
What was your preparation like before you played him? Like, what was that prep like?
So when I played him, it was during a summer game last year. So the preparation wasn't great. We kind of went to that game just on a normal day, and we weren't really prepared to play those guys.
What were some of the highlights? Do you remember any of his highlights or some of the plays that you're just like, whoa?
I remember a fast break dunk, and that wasn't great, never like when that happens to you. But other than that, it was just kind of the basics, did the basics well.
Did you challenge him at all? Like, what were some of your best plays?
It wasn't my matchup.
Okay.
We also have another guard over there who's really good. And so that was my matchup. I think we were going back and forth a little bit. It was a really good game. Did they beat us? Yeah, they got us. But it was a good game.
What was the help defense like? Like, is everybody kind of head on a swivel when you have a player like that out there on the court?
Yeah, and so the fact that he was so good at driving it and kicking it was just – that made it a lot harder because, the second you played any kind of help, it was just dished. And they had some good big guys there too last year.
Do you enjoy, obviously that matchup, but then other matchups that are similar? Like, do you enjoy that, that big-time competition?
I do. I really do. I'm looking forward to this Friday against Silver Lake. That'll be a really big matchup for us. Any game where we can just push ourselves and play to the best of our ability, I think it brings the best out of us.
That is Colby Krein, a member of the Perry-Lecompton basketball team, with our leadoff question.
Sure. Thank you so much.
It's today's leadoff question with Ronnie Baker, a member of the Perry-Lecompton basketball team. Ronnie, your question, who's the best basketball player that you have faced in high school so far?
To put it on one player specifically would be kind of hard, but I would say my sophomore year, we played Wellsville, and they had some kid named Desmondre and then this William Dorsey kid, and they went on and won state for 3A that year, and they were a pretty good team. They whooped us right out the gate. They man-pressed us, and they were pretty good.
What was your mindset going into that game? Like, how were you guys trying to prepare for those matchups?
Yeah, so interesting. We knew they were going to press us, but we really didn't know how intense and physical they were until we got out there, and they pushed us around. We were a really young team. We weren't ready for that, and I'm kind of glad they won state that year because it makes me feel better about that loss.
Any moments from that game that stand out to you, that highlights either from them or even plays that you made?
Oh yeah. I talk trash sometimes, but me and Dorsey were kind of going at it. He hit a pretty deep three and just told me to shut up because I was like, he's like that. I'm gonna learn one day because I was younger than him. But yeah, no, they gave it to us. They gave it to us the bad that year.
All right, so I got to ask, like, when you trash talk, like, what is your end goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Do you feel like you play better when you start doing that, or they play worse, or what's your goal?
I think they tend to get, like, whenever I see a team is like kind of getting mad at each other, I'll like feed into that anger, like put the blame on someone and be like, dang, your teammate over here, he's selling you guys, and they'll start getting mad at each other. That's normally the end goal.
So for you, after that experience, like, what did you kind of learn after that matchup in that ball game?
I don't know. When you face your match, you gotta shut up and play. Like, if they're not gonna talk to you and they're just outplaying you, you can't talk back to them because it's just not gonna bother them.
That is Ronnie Baker, a member of the Perry-Lecompton basketball team, with our leadoff question. Thanks again to Colby Krein and Ronnie Baker, members of the Perry-Lecompton boys basketball team, answering our leadoff question. The jolly show of Kansas Sports Chatter continues after this. Scott Paske with KSHSAA Covered will recap some high school football from this past fall, including some top-notch coaches throughout the state.
Referees and game officials are a vital part of high school athletics. These men and women take time out of their lives to ensure a safe and fair environment for student athletes. As you attend sporting events this year, keep in mind the hard work and dedication of the officials. Respecting officials and authority figures is one of the most valuable lessons that we can teach our students. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who take the time to officiate our competitions.
Continuing on in the show, it is time for story time on Kansas Sports Chatters. You're bringing in Scott Paske, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered. Hey, Scott, appreciate again coming on the show. For you, I know you're already dialed in and getting ready for that Christmas break. But go back to football season. Mark Sambo, head coach of Salina Central. Great story with him. Your title, Salina Central Sambo, follows late father's coaching footsteps to state title. People can check out that story at KSHSAACovered.com. Like, what were you able to find out with that? Because he's in kind of an elite company now.
Yeah, that became the third son to join his father as a state championship high school football coach in Kansas. Of course, in Nemaha Central with Michael Glatzik and his dad Larry. Michael had done it a few years ago. He won his third title with Nemaha Central. But yeah, Mark at Salina Central wins his first state title and joins his dad Gary, who led Smoky Valley to the 3A championship back in 1988. So that is elite company. And the other family that's done that is the Bartas, Roger, who unfortunately passed away and left us in June, and his son Brooks at Holton, Roger at Smith Center. They were the first ones to become the father-son combo to do it. But yeah, Mark joins Gary as a father-son state championship combo, and KSHSAA Covered selected Mark as our coach of the year for the state, and I thought very well deserved, and some of that had to do maybe with that connection a little bit to Gary as well.
Well, I mean, you talking with him, Mark, and just like how his childhood of, growing up and being on the sideline. I mean, I love how you brought up, he skipped out on some piano lessons from time to time to just, right, go hang out with the boys and playing football. It just seemed like it was in his blood.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, his brother Matt's an offensive coach at McPherson High School too. So the two of the three sons are in the coaching business right now, and not a surprise. I'm old enough, and I talked about this played back in the leather helmet days, and I remember Gary. I got to meet Gary. Went to a Bethany football camp when I was trying to learn to play a little bit of quarterback, and back when I was 12, 13 years old, and Gary was just a real good guy. Made football fun. I remember that. It's been 4 decades since I had that experience, but but he was offensive coordinator on Ted Kessinger's staff at Bethany, and those guys, of course, they won like crazy there. And then Gary eventually got into the high school ranks at Smoky Valley, where Mark played for him. But yeah, so Mark grew up on the sidelines, ball boy, the guy getting the kicking tee, that kind of thing, but Mark kind of took note of his dad's style, I think, as he was growing up. And I think the thing he pointed out in that story is that, I never really remember my dad yelling at an official. And I think Mark's just got that good guy. He's kind of got that good guy DNA from Gary. I think just from talking to some of his players for that story as well, just a real joy to play for. And I think he's done a great job in his 8 years at Salina Central, and it finally hit the pinnacle here in 5A.
Yeah, well deserving on your guys' honor with the KSHSAA covered Coach of the Year with Mark Sambo. But anytime, you have other classifications and other coaches win state championships, there's obviously some other good candidates. Who are some of the others that stood out as far as coaching from football this past fall?
Yeah, if you just look at the state championship coaches, I think this year, you started 6A with Joe Schartz in Manhattan, and of course he'd won a title before. But I think what I really appreciate about Joe this year is I think they hit a midseason stretch where things were not going real well. They had a game against Junction City where they turned it over a lot. I saw their game against Wichita Northwest. They got beat 40-13. The guys in street clothes that night for Manhattan would have made a pretty good football team. J.J. Dunnigan was one of them. They had several injuries at that point, and it was one of those where they really got taken to the woodshed by Wichita Northwest, and you just didn't really see maybe a 6A championship coming out of that group, but Coach Schartz did a real nice job putting things back on the tracks. And then you go down to 4A with Cape and Mount Carmel. Weston Schartz, longtime coach here in the Wichita City League, finally gets his first state title. And I think what really stood out there is just the way Cape dominated that 4A championship run. Their November, they were untouchable. That was a really fabulous run. You see dominant runs in other classes. You don't see a lot of domination in the 4A, 5A, 6A level necessarily, and they just ran roughshod on 4A. So that not only does Coach Schartz get that longtime championship that I know was really popular with a lot of his former players at different places, but to do it the way they did was just outstanding. And then you go to Andale, and then Dylan Schmidt, 110-4 now in his tenure at the Andale. That kind of speaks for itself. But Andale's really got it rolling. But yeah, so there were Coach Sambo had good company in that chase for a Coach of the Year. And I'd go down to Sterling in 1A with Brent Snyder, an alumnus of Sterling, who gets Sterling its first championship in 43 years. And then Michael Glatzik, as we mentioned, multiple state champion at Nemaha Central. A lot of good jobs done there. But we just really thought Coach Sambo did kind of an exceptional job this year with Salina Central.
Well, heading into the holidays, Scott, what can we kind of expect from KSHSAA Covered?
Yeah, up on our site here in the last week or so, we've got our all-state teams for all classes and profiles of our top 11, which Coach Sambo, our Coach of the Year, of course, and then two of his players, Cooper Reeves and Caden Snyder, were on that top 11 group. So those will be up there. We'll have a lot of all-league, all-state teams. We've got our previews for a lot of the winter sports now, our basketball players to watch, wrestlers to watch. All those seasons are in full stride now because the overlap is really small. But we'll kind of, I don't want to say coast into Christmas here because this week there's still a lot of winter sports left. But we'll kind of take a little break at Christmas, and then once January hits, we'll be hitting the ground running.
Hey, thanks again for your time, and enjoy your Christmas.
Same to you, Cole. Thanks very much.
That is Scott Paske, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered, and that'll do it for Storytime. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. Welcome back on the show. It's time for our quality time interview, an opportunity to spend a little extra time with our next guest, Dusty Thompson, the head coach of the Centralia girls basketball team, with us now. Coach, for you, I mean, as you dive into the season, like what was I guess, I don't know if you want to call it the off season, but what was that like for you as you just kind of mentally prepare yourself for the start of another year?
Oh, I think I coach football too, so there's not a big break in there, but, take a few days and kind of make sure I know where we want to start. And when we play in the summer, so I've kind of got an idea, of where we're at and what we're going to do. But, just getting those girls back into the swing of things. They went to state in volleyball, so it takes a little bit, I think, for them and me both to get back into the flow.
What are you looking for during the summer? So, like, what are some of the things that you're trying to figure out during the summertime?
For us, like this year especially, we lost Owen. She graduated, and Tatum and Isabel and two other seniors there, and just finding a rotation on the floor that we thought would work, and getting girls in some different spots. And, I tell the girls every summer that if you go into the summer, you go into the season thinking that your role is going to stay the same, then you're probably not going to play a whole lot, and we're not going to be very good. So we spend a lot of time, in the summer trying girls in some different spots, letting 2 or 3 of them play the point, letting a couple of girls that are in between there play some post as well, and work on some things and see what we've got moving forward.
You talk about, the girls trying to find their own role. Like, in your opinion, like, is that I don't want to say an easy process, but like, when do they kind of like own that and like dive in instead of like you just telling them, hey, this is what you're going to do? Like, do you notice like that growth?
Like for us, we've played this year. I've got a senior that's played since she was a freshman. I've got 4 juniors that have played since they were freshmen, so like I said, it's not necessarily trying to find something new. It's just finding a way for them to understand that they've got to add into what they're doing and what's going on, throughout the course of the season if we're going to be very good by the end of the year.
What are those first few weeks of practice like? Like, what are you trying to implement?
For us, it's a lot of defense. We talk all the time. We'll find a way to score, but if we can find a way to keep them from scoring and find a way to get some transition points, then that's a big deal for us. I'm a big defensive guy, and defense leads to offense, and we'll find a ways to score in a half-court offense, and we've got to. But, the more stops we get, the easier it seems to be at the other end of the floor.
Your defensive strategy, like, where did it come from, and what do you try to imply with your girls just as far as getting your defensive mindset?
Like for us, we've got some speed, we've got some size, and trying to mix match some things in there that we think we can do as far as trapping or running the floor and doing different things. For us, it's a big part of our offense is that defense. And like I said, just getting those girls to buy into the fact that it's got to be as hard and as fast as you can go while you're on the floor.
I know the seasons, they just keep flowing, but I mean, you go back to last year, I mean, in winning that state championship, Coach, that experience and what it went through, because you guys have had a lot of success, but able to finish off one of those years. What was that experience like for you and the girls?
It was a lot of fun. We had some seniors that were there as freshmen when the girls got beat by 2 against Pretty Prairie, with their freshman year, and to watch them, I said in an interview last year, to watch those 3 grow and develop throughout the 4 years and find a way that last game to make sure that they found a way to get a win before they left here was pretty cool.
I think a lot of people sit back and they see that, okay, an undefeated season, it must have been easy. So, like, for you, like, how tough is it to go through an entire year? I mean, you talk about, your 26 games to keep that focus and just to keep that drive. How tough is it?
I'd say at times it's difficult, but that group of girls we had last year, we played, I think we played 6 games or 7 games against teams that made the state tournament and 5 against teams that played in the championship game. So those girls had a reason every night when they stepped on the floor to go out and prove what they were capable of doing. So there was never really a lapse in there because they just knew that they were going to have to continue to compete every night.
And sports are just so cool because, I mean, the year before you guys fall in the semifinals to Little River, then you see him again in that championship game. I like that meaning that, I mean, just playing a team like Little River and the team that got you and then be able to get past them the year next had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it did. They're a great team. They've got a great coach over there and girls that can play and they're competitive just like we are. And, so that 2 years ago, I felt like after the game, going back and watching, there were some things we could have done different, maybe, to give us a little better shot. And so we made sure that we were in a position last year that we had those things in there and we could do some of those things, and it worked out for us.
You mentioned earlier Owen Dieters. Like, I mean, what's that? I guess the post Owen Dieters experience been like so far early on in practice?
It's been pretty good. I love Owen to death, and Owen did a lot of great things. But there were times I thought last year where when we struggled or something, the ball, we weren't getting a lot of offensive going. Owen just took over, and it was great because we didn't have to worry about anything. And those girls didn't have to worry about anything, and that was probably my biggest concern offensively going into the summer was what were we going to do without her, and I told the girls when summer was over that I thought we had a half dozen girls that were willing to take a shot with 3 seconds left, but I didn't know that we had anybody that was going to, beg for the ball with 3 seconds left. So to watch them, take that to heart, I think a little bit, and the way practice has started and, the way those girls have come out and competed in practice, 10, 12 deep and worked on things and communicated through things and stuff. It's been pretty neat to watch.
Dusty Thompson joining us here, the head coach of the Centralia girls basketball team. Now, you're a Centralia guy, right?
Yes.
So, what is it like for you, being from the town and then now being the head coach?
It's cool, to get to come back, like you said, coach football too, and did track for a little bit, but just to come back and be involved in the same things that I enjoyed when I was here and competed in and stuff and helping these kids out has been a great experience. Did you always know that you wanted to be a coach? No, actually, my degree is actually to be a game warden. So I did the transition to teaching. I went to school. Most of my college started to be a teacher, and then I switched majors, and then that transition teaching program come out actually the year I graduated. And the following year, I got a phone call about teaching, and I've been here ever since. So, when you're not practicing basketball, do you ever give the girls tips on hunting or conservation or anything like that? Oh yeah, actually we practiced yesterday morning. No, today's Friday. We practiced Wednesday morning, so my daughter and I could go Wednesday afternoon, and then we come back for practice Thursday afternoon. So yeah, so they get things all the time. You talk about the evolution of not only girls basketball, but just basketball in general at the high school level here in the state of Kansas. I know now there's more games available to you if you want in your regular season. They've combined sites for, state tournaments. Do you kind of like the way things are trending right now for basketball in the state of Kansas? Yeah, I think so. It'll be interesting to see when we get to that first state game where we end up. We could be there's not anything real close to us, but it's still better than leaving here on a Tuesday morning to go to Dodge City and staying there until Saturday if you make it that far. So I think it'll be good for us in the long run. We don't have to travel quite as far early on, so it'll be neat to see how this works out. What about the shot clock? Have you seen it trickle down even to your classification a whole lot so far? We used it last year, and I tell people all the time it doesn't affect us. If we've got the ball 30 seconds into the shot clock, we probably turned it over already, so it doesn't matter. But it is. I've seen teams use it to their advantage. I've seen teams when we don't have a shot clock, all of a sudden playing a 1A game somewhere that our girls struggle to slow things back down at times, or playing a game where somebody else is used to slowing it down because they don't have the shot clock. And so that transition back and forth has been a little different. It took a little while to get used to last year, but I think in the long run, it'll be good for the game. Do you like the pace that it brings, though, with the shot clock? Yeah, I do. That sped up a little bit, forces teams to have to do things. I'm a huge man defensive guy. I dislike his zone. I joke around all the time that I should quit if we spend an entire quarter in his zone sometime. So those teams that are in a 3-point game with, a minute and a half left, all of a sudden you can't just, you set in that zone and waste 30 seconds. It makes it a little more difficult. So I think teams have to adjust to what they do as well. And it's, like I said, it's kind of neat to see how teams play that differently when you play different schools. All right. So man-to-man defense, what are some of your tips and advice that make a really good man-to-man? Communication. We talk all the time. If you are not 5 girls on the floor, not communicating, and they're not on the same page, somebody's probably hitting a layup somewhere or a wide open shot. And it comes down to simple. I tell the girls all the time, they come to class and it doesn't matter if it's my class or somebody else's, somebody's talking about how you can't get them to shut up in class sometimes, and then you get on the floor and all of a sudden nobody wants to say anything. So we preach communication every day and everything that we do, passing drills, communicate, shooting drills, communicate, our defensive shell drill, you've got to communicate, so we communicate clear through practice the entire time. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. How tough is that getting that communication across? Because like you said, there's some girls and just boys even too, their personalities are not talkative. So how do you get that across on the floor? Well, I tell the girls, you don't have to be the loudest one out there and you don't have to talk all the time, but the 2 girls around you should know what you're doing. I'm not telling you got to yell and scream, but But I don't care how good you are. If you can't communicate on the floor, you're going to have a hard time playing defense, and it's going to show real fast. So, just the simple things of telling people that a screen's coming. Sometimes that's all you've got to do, but you've got to be able to do those little things.
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time and best of luck the rest of the way.
Sounds good, Cole. Appreciate it.
That is Dusty Thompson, the head coach of the Centralia girls basketball team, and that'll do it for our quality time interview. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Your gym needs SPX. It is time for our Behind the Mic segments here on Kansas Sports Chatter, an opportunity to get a sneak peek at some of the broadcast setups across the stage from one of the many great broadcasters here in Kansas. And the guest today is going to be Sean Boston. He is the radio voice of the Hutchinson Community College Blue Dragons. And at the time of recording this segment, is getting ready to call a national championship, an NJCAA national championship for the Blue Dragon football team as they get set to take on Iowa Western. So hopefully by the time this one airs, Sean, Hutchinson will be celebrating another national championship. But for you in Canyon, Texas, the side of the national title game, how's Texas treating you?
So far, so good, Cole. First, thanks for having me. And, it's been a lot of fun. Got down here Tuesday afternoon, went to the press conference, kind of just hung out, took in the sights of Canyon and Amarillo, and getting ready for the national championship here shortly.
What are the sites? What's good in Canyon?
So not much in Canyon, but it's just about 20 miles south of Amarillo. So we went to the Big Texan last night, steakhouse, and had a nice steak there. So, and just beautiful weather. Today was right around 70 degrees, so can't ask for much better.
How many ounces? I feel like they look at you badly in those restaurants if you don't go at least like 20 ounces or something like that on your steak.
Yeah, mine was a little bit more than that. I think mine was 24. So.
Okay, yeah, you're good then. You're good. All right, let's go ahead. Usually now, well, first of all, before we flip the camera, now I was looking at the website just to kind of look at the stadium, at Bain Schaefer Buffalo Stadium. Now, on the lead sentence on their website, Sean, they say West Texas A&M is home to the premier NCAA Division II college football facility in the country. Now, you and I have seen a lot of good facilities in the state of Kansas. So, in your opinion, does West Texas A&M in the stadium, does it live up to be the premier one in the country for D2?
Yeah, definitely. It is.
Okay.
Not too big, not too small, just kind of a perfect size. And it is definitely really nice. That's for sure.
All right, we'll go ahead and let you flip over. Give us a tour of where you guys are at and the setup here.
All right, so we're in the TV booth for home, so walk in here and nice double-decker setup is we go up here, and this is kind of just extra stuff up here just in case. Nothing too crazy up here. And then down here is where all the fun stuff happens. So this is my spot charts right here, my headset. I've got my binoculars over here. And there's our tie line unit to connect to the station. And there's my broadcast partner, Darren Dunn. There's where he will be set up here in just a little bit. And then looking out here, Bain Schaefer Buffalo Stadium. And you can see right here why it is one of the premier stadiums in all of Division II football.
That is nice. All right, so looking at your charts, what do you have to have on your charts to feel ready? Is there any certain information that you have to have?
No, not necessarily. I mean, a good partner or a good friend of ours is Gerard Welbrock, and these are his templates. So got all the Iowa Western offense right here, tight ends, quarterbacks, running backs, offensive linemen, receivers, and then there's Hutch defense. And really like to have a lot of, just the tackles, especially on the defensive side, sacks, those kind of things. And then I like to have notes on, especially the starters. Like Malachi Marshall, a starting quarterback for Iowa Western. He transferred in from Stony Brook, which Stony Brook is coached by former Butler Grizzly Billy Kosh, and he helped guide the Butler to the national title in 2012. So that's just kind of a small nugget that I'll throw in tonight, as that kind of ties back into the Jayhawk Conference.
All right, your live reads. How do you work through your live reads?
Yeah, so we got a broadcast booth sponsor, and then I've got several different live reads throughout the broadcast. We've got a first down sponsor, a red zone sponsor, and all that kind of stuff. So really, a lot of it is, as you know, repetition, and especially, once at this point in the season, this is game number 12 of the season. So kind of know all that by heart, and really don't even have to look at my cards anymore, as kind of know what to say and when to say it. So it kind of just goes with the flow.
So you had a 6 o'clock kickoff. Like, are you prepared for any type of glare? Have you tested the nighttime there in the press box?
Luckily, we were here last year for the national championship right here. We were actually a couple booths down over there. So, we kind of know the lay of the land and got everything set up yesterday, and kind of went through everything, make sure the internet was connected. We got a good, strong reading on all that kind of stuff to connect back to the studio. So it shouldn't be a problem here tonight under the lights, as we're just, a little over an hour away from the sun starting to set.
Usually we try to bring in, these high school looks to some of the press boxes across the state of Kansas, Sean. But for you, like with Hutchinson Community College, I was looking at the roster. I think there's anywhere between 30 and 40 Kansas kids on the roster. Whether or not, they're redshirting or playing, they're still on that roster. Like, who are some of the Kansas products that have really made a big impact for Hutchinson this year?
Well, definitely. I mean, the first one you point out is Tegan Haynes. He's a sophomore from McPherson. He had a really good standout career at McPherson High School. Then was at Garden City Community College last year, and then decided to come back closer to home. And now he's a Blue Dragon. He actually, he's got 63 tackles right now on the season, and one of the leaders of that defensive unit. And he's been a lot of fun to watch, and really just continue to mature as a football player. And then the offensive side, LT Robinson Jr. is a guy that was at Wichita East, and he has really come on strong here lately. And our kicker, I'm looking down the kicker right now, Alejandro de la Poza. Now, he's originally from Spain, but he actually, a fun story about him is he went to Sunrise Christian Academy in Bel Air. So, he was in Kansas before making the short trip over to Hutch. So, there's a lot of Kansas guys out there on the field.
And like, I'm never going to get into debate, like, whether or not there should be Kansas kids or whatever on the rosters, but like, it is kind of cool. Like, do you feel that too? Like calling, like collegiate games when there is a Kansas kid that's making an impact?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's, I think the Kansas Jayhawk Community College Conference, was built on Kansas. And so it's great to see so many Kansas guys out there, and whether it be for Hutch or any other, junior college program in the state, it's great to see, the coaching staffs give Kansas guys a chance. And a lot of them have, went through Hutch and other different programs around the state, and have really shined not only in the Jayhawk Conference, but also, at the Division I level as well.
All right, Sean, appreciate the time, and bring home another natty, okay?
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Cole.
That is Sean Boston, the radio voice of the Hutchinson Blue Dragons, getting set for the national championship with our Behind the Mic. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. Back at it here on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time for some basketball chatter, and we'll bring in a Chuck Chaney. He is with the Butler County Times-Gazette, among many titles, sports editor, whatever you want to call it. But Chuck joining us here and covering a lot of those Butler County area teams, and that's what we want to talk about. So some of those teams, some of those storylines that are shining in your community. But first of all, the holidays coming up. Any big holiday traditions for you and your family?
We're Oklahoma City Thunder fans.
Okay.
We're season ticket holders, so on Christmas you'll know where I'll be. I'm going. So I go to as many games as I possibly can. I got a big. I'm never not a tattoo guy, but I have one of the mascot from when we won the title this year. So, but yeah, that's what I'll be doing on Christmas.
So you're gonna have to get a tattoo every time they win.
So I'll have to show you, but like he's like the mascot's doing this. He's cheering in one hand. He's got the trophy. So if they win again, I can add another trophy to the other hand.
There you go.
It's actually playing. Me and the artist did that. And when I told that, my wife was like, "You a tattoo?" And I'm like, "Yeah, 100%." It was the most painful thing I've experienced, and I broke my ankle before.
And now when they win more than 2, then you're gonna have to start getting creative. Like maybe he's juggling them or something like that. But
I don't know. We'll figure it out. Hopefully.
All right. Well, high school basketball for you. What stood out? You can go girls on the girls' side or on the boys' side. What stood out, or maybe a team that's really had a good start?
Man, we got so many good basketball teams here in Butler County. Like we got individual titles. You look at Emily O'Brien, the Lady Broncos are 4-0 over Remington. She's averaging 31 points a game. And she sat quarters. They won the Remington tournament, and she is so aggressive. And like she's guarding 1 through 5. She's over 6 foot, but they're playing her at the 1. They're playing her at the 5. They're really just to keep it entertained, because like a player of that caliber can get kind of bored at this level. She's going to Northeastern State next year, Division II in Oklahoma, but she is the real deal. Like, and I was told as a freshman. Her sister was Kaylee O'Brien, who went to Tabor, and they're like, she's going to be better. And sure enough, here we go. She can hit the 3. She drives off the dribble. She cuts. She plays defense. She looks for outlets. And one thing her coach, Ricky Snyder, told me is that she's so competitive in practice. Is that like they do a drill, Emily told me, is where they try to score on her, and she wants to win every single time. And she goes, that fuel, that competitive is pushing all of her players, her teammates into games, and they're blowing the doors off people right now. So I'm excited for them to get into conference play their league play is tough, and they're really going to get a challenge. But I think they're ranked right now, and I think the coaches are showing that respect. But I think they're one of the best teams in 2A.
All right, what about the El Dorado Lady Cats?
Lady Cats they're having one of their best seasons since 2007. They got 3rd place in the Chaney tournament. They come back. I remember being down by 10 in the 4th quarter. A typical Lady Cat team in the years past. They probably get a running clock in that 4th quarter. A team would run up, but they fought back, 18-2 run. They're closing very well. They've competed against some really tough teams. They pushed Chaney to the brink the other night.
Yeah.
And so they are much improved. And I think that goes back to Chance Whitehead. Chance Whitehead and Augusta and Lom was an All-American at Sterling for football. He's brought in this swagger, this competitiveness, and he's 25, 26, and the kids relate to him. And one girl said he understands our brain rot. And I thought that was good, because I think nowadays I don't know how much we understand this generation. And so I think him relating to it and understand what these girls are going through. I think he graduated in 2018. So he fully kind of understands what like high school sports are about now. And so, and they're fun. They play aggressive. They're physical, and they're no longer beat when they step on the floor. In the past years, like, okay, let's not get blown out. Now they're like, no, we're going to win games.
Nice.
And so I love that. And they're so much fun to watch, because they pass the ball, they set screens, they're calling out switches. And for me, as a basketball junkie, that's fun. It's been a lot of fun. And the last girls team I want to talk about, I don't know how many I can talk about, but the Flint Hills girls 4-1. They pushed Pretty Prairie, the 2022 state title team, to in the Fairfield Invitational. Pushed them to the final seconds. They lost late, couldn't hit free throws. I think they were like 2 for 18 in the game. But if they hit their free throws, they're pushing one of the best teams in 1A. And so Daniel Scribner's got a good team. Alex Scribner, she literally was double up and down the floor for 32 minutes, and she still ended up with almost a double-double. So they got some ballers over there in Rosalia. I think because where they're at in the county, they get overlooked, but they're a fun team, girls-wise.
All right, on the boys' side, what are some headlines that we need to know around the Butler County area?
Going back to Flint Hills, Jake Hunter and Steph Curry, man. He can light it up from the logo. I know the high school field court is 10 feet shorter, but it doesn't matter. He'll hit it from the logo. He'll hit it from 3. He'll cut you on the back, and then if you want to double him, he'll just find his teammates to the basket. He's got a couple really big, nice post players. But Flint Hills 4-1. Their one loss is to Reno County Homeschool. If you don't know about Reno County Homeschool, they're pretty good. They got some good ballers, and they've already played like 20 games. But they led them late. They were up 50-49 in the Fairfield tournament. Just couldn't close it, but they're really good. I think they are going to make some noise in the SCBL, South Central Border League. I think they need to find someone other than Jake if they want to be a really dangerous team. But with Jake alone, I think he's averaging like 26 points a game. And so I think he's going to be dangerous. Then there's the Douglas Bulldogs. We know about them for wrestling. They're a wrestling power, like perennial team, but they are 4-1 in basketball this year. They finished just at 5th at the South Haven tournament last week or a week or two ago, but 4-1. It's the most wins they've had at this point, kind of like El Dorado girls. Last year, they only won 6 games. The year before that, they won 3, and the year before that, they won 2. So they are improving. They're a young team. They're fast, they're physical. And I like to watch them play. They're a lot of fun. But the best player in the county, though, Cole, his name is Walker McClellan. If you don't know him, you should. He is a 6'7", lanky wing player who can defend. He can take it up, dribble. I'm saying this, and I'm not saying he's the same player, but I get a lot of Grady Dick when I watch him play.
Okay, yeah.
He's long, he's lengthy, he's fast. He can shoot the 3. He'll take you he can hit his free throws. He'll play really good defense. And that team under new coach Trey O'Neill, I was a little worried on what they were going to look like because at Trey and Hewitton, they were a little slower pace. Now this team, they're still going. They're high flying Cloud City, and Andover boys, they're legitimate 2nd, 3rd, and 5A. But number 1 in 5A, obviously Cape, and they return almost everyone. It felt like.
Impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Good storylines there, Chuck. Appreciate it. Enjoy that OKC game. All right.
Man, I'm excited. Let's go Thunder.
Chuck Chaney joining us here, the sports content editor for Cherry Road Media and with Butler County Times-Gazette.
Being hydrated is essential for performing at your best. Remember to drink plenty of water before, during, and after practice or games. Fuel your body with hydration, balanced meals, and rest to recover and stay fit. Staying healthy means you maintain your strength and continue performing at your best. Hydrate your way to success.
It is our next level talent segments on Kansas Sports Chatter, an opportunity to talk to former high school athletes from the state of Kansas that are now competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. And our guest today is Jaila Harding. She is a member of the Wichita State University women's basketball team and out of Wichita Southeast High School. Jaila, appreciate you coming on the show. For you, back in Wichita after a couple of years at New Mexico State, what has it been like just to be back in your hometown?
It's been amazing. It's a question everybody always asks me. Just to come back to such a supportive community, and I have my family here who can come and support all the games. It's just been so welcoming, and I've enjoyed the environment so much.
And I know you got to follow the opportunity, but how tough was that for you? Growing up in Wichita, spent a couple of years at Butler Community College, and then going out to New Mexico State. How tough of a transition was that for you?
It actually wasn't tough at all for me. I had really good coaches at Butler that prepared me. I knew I probably was going to go a little distance away from home, and I was excited to take that opportunity, and I made the most of it, and I enjoyed my time at New Mexico State.
You talk about Butler. What was that experience like? And can you believe Mike Helmer's last year coaching?
I know. I just seen him recently, and we chatted it up. He was amazing. He was an amazing coach. Butler, always going to a JUCO. It's like you never know what you're going to expect. Everybody's fighting for the same thing. Everybody wants the opportunity to play Division I basketball. And I played with great teams. One of the years we only lost like 4 or 5 games. And it helped me grow a lot as a player and just understand like the transition from high school basketball to the college level, which is definitely more physical. And you're playing against athletes who are very fast and have a lot of more experience than you do. But it definitely helped me transition over to Division I.
What was that recruitment like for you coming out of high school? Did you know right away that you wanted to go to Butler, or what was the process like?
I kind of waited it out to the end of my senior year. I didn't have many looks coming out of Southeast, but I heard from a couple Division I, so I knew that I had like the talent to get to that level. But then when I heard from Butler, I was like, they're going to help me grow and give me even more opportunities in the future.
For you, like Wichita Southeast, like what do you remember like competing there at high school? What stands out about your high school career?
Just the rivalries. I mean, you have like Heights High School, which was a really close rivalry. Then you have East, which was nearby. Just the rivalries. I remember my senior year playing Heights High School, and they were always a tough team to play. But I remember we played them at home. I went on a run in the fourth quarter. I think I hit like 4 threes in the fourth quarter, and we ended up beating them, which was like one of the first times we had beat them. It had always been close games, but just the rivalries and the competition. I mean, I played against some really good Division I players that we know today, like Ziona Walker and Taylor Jameson, who also played for Wichita State before me. So just being able to play against really high level talent and watching them grow and play at their universities today.
You mentioned that 3-point shooting. Like, have you always been a good shooter? Like, when did you kind of develop that outside shot?
I think always since I was young. I remember just being out in the driveway with my dad and him working on my form for hours and hours. And then, of course, my brother who plays professional basketball, I would be out there working with him as well. So that's kind of always been my go-to. I'd play one-on-one with my brother, but he was always taller than me, so I knew I had to shoot it over him. So I would just shoot it from far out and make it. So, yeah, it's always been my game.
Any tips that you could give for anyone that's, aspiring to be a good shooter? Like, what lessons have you kind of learned along your path to help you out in that shooting percentage?
Yeah, it's definitely working on that form. I mean, a lot of people just want to go out to the 3-point line and just start shooting. But if you don't have the mechanics down, I mean, you're never going to be consistent with it. So just starting with that form, working your way, focusing on your mechanics, and then just repetition. I mean, I'm always in the gym shooting, getting shots up. I mean, nothing comes from not practicing. So as long as you continue to practice on it and work your way up, you'll eventually get the shot down.
You talked about your brother and him playing basketball as well. Outside of having to shoot over the top of somebody taller than you, like, what did you learn from him and just kind of what his experience?
Yeah, I mean, his game is so crafty. He's so elusive. He's just a full out scorer. I mean, of course, he was a good shooter growing up, but his game has just transitioned to just being a full scorer. He's super elusive. So also playing him one-on-one, I had to get better defensively. So that's another thing, like, I pride myself on just being very active defensively, because he would give me, mean crossovers and all these different moves, and I'd have to stay right with him. So he's taught me a lot of different things just to keep moving. I mean, as a scorer, people are going to guard you super tough, and they have this far in this season. So just to keep on moving, be physical with them, but just find your opportunities to get your open shots.
I was reading your bio on the Wichita State website, Jaila, and you mentioned that you're the valedictorian of your high school class at Wichita Southeast. Like, how much did that mean for you, and just the importance of your studies as well?
Yeah, I mean, it meant everything for me. It was always for me, like growing up, I seen how good my brother was at basketball. So I was like, I got to beat him in something. I'm going to strive academically. And that's always been my focus. I mean, academics come first. I want to be a physician assistant in the future, which is not an easy path to get to. So academics have always been the focus of my mind. But also, it's something I bring up all the time. My teammates know I'm valedictorian. I'm like, well, I was valedictorian of my high school class. So I always bring it up. I'm super proud of that accomplishment.
Like, I remember, like, in high school, like, some people took that as quite the competition to be that valedictorian, and they put in a lot of work. Like, what was that like? Were you able to track, like, where you were at in your high school ranks?
I mean, honestly, I didn't focus on it until the end. In Southeast, we had like unweighted. So there was probably, I mean, I say I was valedictorian, but there was 7 other valedictorians. We had like a class of 500 students. But I didn't think about it until my senior year. I'm like, oh, I've had all A's throughout my high school career. I'm probably going to be valedictorian. So, and it ended up happening.
The transition for you talked about, the stages you've gone from high school to Butler, then New Mexico State, now Wichita State. Like, how have you kind of been able to, like, I guess, what is some of the learning curve that you have seen just trying to transition from each stage of basketball?
Yeah. So yeah, like I talked about from high school, it was just like the pace of play, the physicality, and you start weight training and stuff early on in college. So I think that helped prepare me. But JUCO to Division I also, you just recognize like how good athletes actually are at this level. Like, it's the same game. You still have people that are fast and have people that are physical. But I mean, I remember playing in Conference USA, we were playing games where teams were setting 30 screens on offense to get people open. The game has just evolved so much, and you just have to, continue working on your game, getting quicker, getting stronger in the weight room, and that helps you just be right on track.
Hey, Jaila, appreciate your time. Best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you so much for having me.
That is Jaila Harding, a member of the Wichita State University women's basketball team and out of Wichita's Southeast High School, part of our Next Level Talents. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. Big thanks to our sponsors, Meyers Enterprises and SPX. Thanks to our guests as well. And again, everybody, Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holiday. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday on Kansas Sports Chatter. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on social media.